The original Amaran panel lights from the Aputure family have been some of the most popular panel lights over the years, and today we are looking at their latest two fixtures, the P60X and the P60C. These two new fixtures are affordable, bright and fully featured panel lights looking to shake up the panel light market a bit. Let's check them out. The P60C and P60X are both similarly sized panel lights aimed at content creators, indie filmmakers and videographers wanting a relatively light, compact and easy to power fixture. The C in the P60 stands for colour and the X stands for bicolor. Unsurprisingly, the C is the more expensive out of the two, coming in at just under £325, whereas the bicolor version is just under £245. Each of these lights also comes bundled with a carry case, which can fit the included AC power supply and IEC cable, as well as a 1/4 inch mounting bracket for the panel. Each light also comes with a softbox and a grid for it, though the grid can't fit in the included bag with the fixture, the softbox can. Both fixtures will also be available in 3 head kits, which come with a larger bag to carry everything in, which could be a great option if a 3-point lighting kit is what you're looking at grabbing. But how do they perform? Well, let's do some tests. P60C and the X are both 60-watt fixtures with slightly different Kelvin ranges. The C has an array of RGBWW LEDs to create its full RGB output, and its 2500 Kelvin to 7500 Kelvin tunable CCT range with tint adjustment, whereas the X is locked between 3200 and 6500 Kelvin with no tint adjustment. Looking at Aputure's photometrics, both of them look to perform well across their range, but let's take a look at our own testing. When it comes to output, we tested the C and the X 1 meter away from the wall at both 3200 and 5600 Kelvin using our trusty Sekonic C800. If we look at the results, Aputure's figures for both fixtures seem to be quite conservative in comparison to ours. Both of these lights can kick out a very good amount of light, especially when considering their price and their size. When it comes to the accuracy of the fixtures, let's start off looking at the C. We can see that at 3200 Kelvin it does a pretty good job at only being at most 84 Kelvin out, which is impressive for a fixture of this cost, and it was even able to achieve this at 1% output, which is actually quite unusual to see. It also holds its accuracy of light pretty decently, and though there is a more magenta tint towards the lower outputs, which reduces as you go up in the intensity, you can easily adjust this out by tweaking your tint. It's slightly more out when set to 5600 Kelvin, but again the ability to tune your Kelvin and tint means you can correct this. However, performance for a £300 RGB fixture is pretty impressive here. When we look at the X, it's a similar story when it comes to CCT, but there is more inconsistency with tint, which you are unfortunately stuck with. The C definitely is better and more adjustable, but for £100 less, there are going to be compromises somewhere, and for the price, this performance is still good, just not as good as the P60C. One thing we don't like when using LED panels is the shadows they create when the bare LEDs are visible to the subject. You can see here when we use either fixture without their included softboxes, the shadows have lines to them due to the LED array. However, adding even a little bit of diffusion in front of them, or their included softboxes, really improves this, but at the sacrifice of light intensity. I would have really liked to have seen Aputure include a detachable layer of diffusion on both of these, as well as the softbox, but this will be relatively easy to DIY yourself if you need to. While panel lights are considered less flexible than COB lights, the benefit of them is their small form factor and somewhat soft light. We wanted to set up the light in a few different ways to show how you could potentially use them to light. For this, we classified it into 3 different filmmaking genres: content creators, indie filmmakers, and corporate work. For the content creator setup, we did a studio headshot setup and a B-roll setup for these mica lenses. We used the P60C as a backlight and the P60X as a key light. Next was another studio setup, but for indie filmmaking. We set the light up in a budget booklight setup, using a polyboard and a 5-in-1 reflector. This setup looks great given how low cost it was. Lastly, we set up 3 different corporate style headshots, one in our warehouse, one in our sales office, and one last one outside. For the office and warehouse setups, the P60C was used as the key light for each setup, using the X as a hair or edge light. Outside, we used the P60C for a little bit of fill. Due to the small nature of the softbox, the light isn't super soft, but it's defo handy to have such a compact modifier in a pinch to use with it. We've actually used the P60 for this pista camera as well as a background light. When it comes to the build quality, the two fixtures do differ from each other slightly. The C feels much more solid than the X, and this is partly due to the increase in weight. The C is almost double the weight of the X, coming in at just under 1.9 kilograms. This makes the C quite a heavy fixture for its size, especially if you are carrying a case of 3 of them around. The X doesn't feel quite as well built, but it is much lighter, which will be a pro for some. It also only features one fan, whereas the C has 2, and this is most likely because of the increased amount of LEDs the C has over the X, so it needs a more robust cooling solution. You can actually see how much of the fixture is heatsink when you look through the grille. Both fixtures feature 3 1/4-20 threads around the frame of the light, so you can mount it in whatever orientation you'd like. The mounting bracket that these fixtures come with is a fairly cheap looking and feeling 1/4-20 and 3/8-16 spigot adapter and a multi-position spigot bracket. We found with our C stands, mounting the brackets with the branding upside down to be the best and most sturdy way to do it. However, while the included ones work okay with the X, with the C, I really can't recommend anyone uses it. It simply can't handle the weight of the C, and we had it move by itself pretty dangerously several times. Instead, I would suggest picking up this Manfrotto 026, which is basically a more solid version of the included adapter. It's a mix of metal and good plastics, and it feels so much more reassuring to use and doesn't slip at all when manipulating the P60's position on it. This is a must-have in my opinion for the P60C, and it will still be a good pickup for the P60X if you want something a bit more solid. However, if you don't pick up this more sturdy bracket, the one included is still okay to use, and it will still allow you to put it on a range of different stands you want to use, and I've put a few affordable stand options down in the description below. Both fixtures come with a decent sized rectangle softbox and grid. With the C being slightly bigger, the softbox is also slightly bigger. Lighting modifiers are always a balance between practicality, size, and light characteristic. And while a larger modifier will be softer and in theory nicer to light someone with, how compact this included softbox can pack down into will make travelling with it so much easier, and it's still soft enough to get by, especially with some bounce. Getting them onto the fixtures can be a bit fiddly. I found it easiest to have the panels off a stand, place them face down, lifting up the little flaps here, and then taking the elastic and snapping it behind these cutouts. I wouldn't advise putting them on while the panels are already on the stand, as it's far harder, but is doable. We tested both fixtures with and without the softbox to check how much the output and colour is changed by them. We can see with both the X and C that these softboxes do cut brightness in the centre quite a bit, and it does degrade the quality of the light in regards to colour accuracy, which isn't surprising. Both of these fixtures have the same dual NPF plate on the back of them. Sony NPF batteries are really solid and also really affordable and readily available in a range of different sizes. However, a 2-pin to D-tap cable will also be available separate from Aputure if you'd like to power it via a V-lock source if you'd rather. Just make sure that it can deliver a minimum of 4.5 amps and that you can mount it to your stand safely and securely. Both fixtures also feature the same awesome 2-pin self-locking waterproof DC input, which you can use with the included power supply. One nice little touch as well is that the included IEC leads are locking, and the PSU comes with a safety cable as well, which is surprising on such an affordable fixture. Both fixtures require both NPF slots to be filled, and they both drain the batteries at the same time due to the fairly high power draw, which is a rough maximum of 78 watts. This means that these large 74 Wh Hawkwoods NPFs will last roughly an hour each at max brightness, which is roughly what we saw when testing. Though lower power draws at lower intensities will improve this performance. You can also charge the NPFs while on the back of the light, even while using the light, which is a really nice touch and could be really handy. Another really nice little detail about these lights is that they will give you a readout of the time remaining of the batteries depending on the intensity and output colour you have set. When you adjust the output, it will even change the readout in real time in only a couple of seconds. This is also shown in the Sidus Link App, which we'll look at in a bit. When it comes to controlling the lights, the X and C feature slightly different button layouts and menus. The X is the simpler out of the two because you can only control temperature and intensity, which have dials here. You then have a nice clear OLED display and 4 buttons: the power on, menu, lighting and effects buttons. The lighting button will switch the light to its regular constant mode, and hitting the effects will cycle through the 4 different effects that the light has built in: paparazzi, strobe, fireworks and pulse. This is incredibly fast to operate, and the screen on the back is really clear and easy to read, which is great. The C is actually incredibly similar in operation to the Aputure Nova. It looks to even be running the same software from the looks of it. It has a few more buttons on the back when compared to the X, with 1 dial for intensity, 1 for CCT or hue, and 1 for tint or saturation. You then have 4 preset buttons which you can save presets to by holding the number down until the preset prompt comes up. This is a great way to switch between different commonly used lighting setups. You then have the power button, light mode and menu. Light mode will let you switch between the different modes of the light: HSI, which allows you to control hue, saturation and intensity; CCT, or correlated color temp, which allows you to control intensity, CCT and tint; FX, which are a range of presets for creative effects; and gel, which allows you to adjust the intensity, Kelvin of the light source, and then whatever gel you'd like to recreate. This gives you a huge range of options depending on exactly what you need. It's crazy how many options you have to choose from here. In the effects tab, you have 10 controllable effects. Let's take a quick look at them. You have lightning, paparazzi, strobe, cop car, fireworks, pulsing, faulty bulb, fire, TV, and party lights. The menu looks slightly different between the two, but they do feature similar settings in their deeper menu system. Both fixtures feature the same 2 fan modes, medium and smart. Smart takes the ambient temperature of your shooting environment into account and adjusts the speed of the fan to match it, and medium is just a constant speed in case the noise from the fixture doesn't bother you. In terms of fan noise, it's actually really good. So I'm using the P60C right now in the background with my mic just above me here at 100%, and I can't really hear it at all, and I'm sure you can't either. Both fixtures feature studio mode that allows the lights to turn on and be controlled immediately upon receiving power. This means if you have the fixture plugged in but not receiving power, when you turn the power on at the wall, the light will turn on automatically. This will be handy if it's rigged in a position where you can't reach the power button and are controlling it wirelessly. This is also the case when putting batteries on the back, so if you're using the light normally, this is probably something you want to turn off in the menu. You then have a range of functions you may not need to access too often. You have Bluetooth reset for when you need to reconnect to the Sidus Link App, the fixture's serial number, language, firmware version, and then custom effects. The only settings that the C has in its menu system that is different to the X are frequency selection and a factory reset function. Frequency selection is from the Nova, and it allows you to tune the frequency of the dimming controls in the fixture to help negate any flicker. Both fixtures have built-in Bluetooth, so you can connect your smartphone or tablet and control the light using the Sidus Link app. This app is a huge selling point for people looking to invest in an Aputure or Amaran ecosystem, as it allows you to control a massive range of their lights wirelessly and really easily. I don't want to go through everything on the app, just show you the key parts of it. You can control multiple lights all from the app, which will be great if you decide to pick up the 3 light kit or integrate one of these lights with an Aputure fixture. The app is pretty simple. You need to sign up first, you are then greeted by scenes. These are basically lighting setups that you can save. You can then click on a scene and add a fixture. Once connected, you can tap on that fixture and now you can control the light. You have the same modes and settings that are built into the controller of the light that you're controlling, and you can navigate through these really fast in the app. You can either tap on the top of the tabs to jump to the different segments or modes, or swipe the tab under it to navigate every mode, and then tap on what mode you want the light to go into. There are 2 additions here though that aren't on these light fixtures themselves: Source Match and Picker. These both use your camera on your phone or tablet. Source Match will pick out the CCT of the source you point it at, and Picker does the same but with HSI of whatever you are pointing it at. Source Match is great to have for matching these fixtures with other fixtures or practicals, and Picker will be handy if you see a colour that you want to recreate and capture. As with on the P60C, you can also save presets in the app, and you have pretty much unlimited presets here. These are separated into a few different modes, and you can save any mode settings you want here. So yeah, overall, the app is a really solid way of controlling these fixtures wirelessly, and I think it really comes to life when you're controlling multiple lights at the same time. It's free to download, so head over to the App Store and give it a go. When we compare these fixtures to the rest of the LED panel market, these new ones look to offer a fantastic value given their specs, photometrics and feature set. The The P60C is in quite a unique position in the market currently, as there aren't that many RGB panels at this price point and size. The only one that comes to mind is from Dracast, but I haven't tested it and it will not feature the same app integration or output that is possible with the P60C. The P60X does have some competition though, but without testing and seeing the photometrics of these other fixtures, it's difficult to compare. I do think that the Amaran/Aputure name, the great performance documented here, and most likely across all the other content creators that have tested these fixtures as well, and the incredibly complete package being offered, will result in these lights dominating the market they are aimed at comparatively to other panel fixtures. The Amaran 100X and 200X were announced back in January and are definitely going to be compared to these new fixtures. Whether you need a panel light or a COB fixture will really depend on what you are lighting and what's important to you. A COB will give you a harder light with a more defined and nicer shadow, and then all of the flexibility that a COB with a Bowens mount for modifiers provides. You will arguably be able to use much larger modifiers, which will provide much softer light. However, the downside of this is the need to carry these modifiers, and that's something the P60s do really well here. I can see people still picking up both lights, and I actually think a kit with a mixture of COB lights and panel lights could work really well, especially considering that it can all be controlled via the Sidus Link app. My main key light for this setup is a 200D, and then the P60C is my backlight, and I can control both of them from my phone, which is really handy. Simply put, the Aputure P60C and P60X are incredible value for money. The X will be a great option for people on a budget still wanting a versatile panel light with good performance, great features, and at a weight that won't break your back while travelling. The C is a little bit more expensive obviously, but you can get slightly more output, more colour accuracy, and the increased flexibility that an RGB fixture offers could be invaluable for some. But it is double the weight and more expensive, so what you pick up will depend on what you need. The Aputure name being attached to these awesome new fixtures from Amaran alone will make them popular, but their stellar performance and affordability will make them a no-brainer for so many people looking at compact panel lights. Let us know what you think of the Aputure P60C and P60X in the comments below, and if you enjoyed the video, please give it a like and make sure you hit the subscribe button and the notification bell. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.